everyone, welcome back. My name's Dana. This is my channel Bookish Die, and this is take two, or attempt two, of my January wrap-up. So I had initially recorded this and there was something really off with the audio, and so I just decided to redo it because I didn't really feel like dealing with that editing process. So yeah, this is my second attempt at recording my January wrap-up. I know this is coming a little late, but better late than never, I guess. So I read 7 books in January, and for the most part, I really enjoyed them all. There were a couple of rereads, but mostly new books. So the first new book that I read was Girl, Serpent, Thorn by Melissa Bashardust. And this is a Persian-inspired fairy tale retelling. It centers on a young woman, Soraya, who is cursed. She has, sorry, my cat is trying to break into this room. She has been cursed by a demon, to be poisonous to the touch. She can't touch any other living thing except for plants. She's been isolated. She's been raised in this palace called the Golistan. She only sees her family a couple months every year, and everything changes when her brother comes for his annual visit, and she finds out that he is, one, engaged to her best friend, who she has more than friendly affections for, and then that he has brought with him a captured div. And so Soraya sees her opportunity to break the curse that has confined her to this palace, that has isolated her from her family and from other human contact. And so to help her break into the dungeons, she enlists one of her brother's guard, a young man named Azar. I loved this book. I thought, aside from the fact that the final romance felt a little rushed, I thought that it did such a good job with its themes, namely the impact of lies that we tell people that we care about, the fact that you will make mistakes and it's on you to fix those mistakes, and also just the enduring bonds of family, both by blood and chosen. Soraya is such this really interesting, complex character because she screws up massively over the course of the book, and so much of what this book covers is her attempts to fix it and her attempts to set things right, and stop the evil that she's accidentally unleashed upon her kingdom. It also is about embracing the darker aspects of yourself. And it's not like it's a messy, like Soraya is messy, she's monstrous, and this book really embraces the fact that, you know, we do have these darker sides. And I really loved this book. There's a lot in it in terms of how the author writes these characters, how she frames the decisions that they make. Like, I never felt that the decisions Soraya made weren't understandable. Given the situation that she was in and what she had faced, all the choices that she made felt understandable. So I would say I gave this about a 4 out of 5 stars. The second book that I read in January was Haunted Heroine by Sarah Kuhn. This is the 4th book in her Heroine Complex series, and oh my god, I loved this book so much. So I've been a huge fan of Sarah Kuhn for a number of years, and I adore her Heroine Complex series so much. So the basic premise is there was a demon portal that opened up in San Francisco, and some humans got powers. And so this series centers on 2 sisters, Evie Tanaka and Bia Tanaka, and then, hi buddy, and then Aveda Jupiter, who's Evie's best friend, also known as Annie Chang. And they are superheroes in San Francisco. And yeah, this series, I mean, I'm probably going to do a video talking about this series and talking about why you should read it. But this series is all about, you know, relationships, friendships, growing up, capable ladies kicking ass. Yeah, and so this book is centered on Evie gets invited for a reunion for the grad program that she never actually finished at a women's college in the Bay Area, which it's really Mills College, but it's Mills with the serial numbers filed off. And so she goes, and she and Aveda Jupiter find that not everything is not as it seems. And so they go undercover to try and find out what's causing these hauntings on campus. And things kind of get messy from there. And so this book does a really good job of talking about the regrets that we have and that we carry and what we should do, not just to forget them, but to to accept them and how we can move on from the mistakes that we made. Because one of the reasons that Evie is so reluctant to go back is that, and this is something that comes out in the first book, so it's not really spoilers, but she had been having a relationship with a professor there who is, oh my God, he's so awful. Like, he is every skis bag professor that you read about. He's terrible. And she finds him cheating on her in the library with someone else, and she burns it down by accident. Oh my God. Sorry, my cats are being very cute and they're very distracting. But yeah, so she has to deal with those. And there's also a really great kind of intergenerational relationship that Evie and Aveda have with the students at this college. So they go undercover as TAs, and the relationships the relationships that they form with the younger students there are really great, because I think it really shows how helpful relationships between like friendships between younger women and non-binary folks can be with older women and non-binary folks, and how supportive they can be and how they can address a lot, like the isolation that you can feel. And yeah, I cannot recommend this series highly enough. I think if you like superheroes, if you like capable ladies, read this series. The 5th book is coming out later this summer. The cover already dropped and it looks so good. I'm very excited. The next book that I read was actually a reread for me for a book club. It was Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. And I still haven't read Heroine the Ninth, but rereading this kind of really helped me pick up some of the foreshadowing that Tamsin Muir puts in. This series is very, like, yes, it's lesbian necromancers in space, but it's also a locked room mystery. It's an exploration of trauma. It's uncovering secrets. There's a lot happening in this book, and I really love it. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I enjoyed it. I love Gideon. She's such a himbo. She's great. And her relationship with Harrow, with the terrible teens from Fourth House, and with everyone else is just really great, and I'm hoping to get to Harrow soon. It's coming. I have it with me. I'm gonna do my best to read it. The next book that I read in January was Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. This is the start of the High Republic initiative from Lucasfilm Publishing, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm going to be talking more about the High Republic later on, but this I thought was a really good start, although there are a lot of characters, and one thing I wish that it had been included was dramatis personae, just so I could keep track of them. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and it made me really excited to see what's coming up next with the High Republic. Because it's Star Wars, like it feels Star Wars, but it's very different because it's set 200 years before the prequel trilogy. So aside from Yoda and like 2 other members of the Jedi Council, it's all new characters. It's people we don't know. It's a situation we have no background on. So that was interesting, and like I said, I'm going to go more into the High Republic stuff in another video. But if you're looking for Star Wars with a low barrier to entry, highly recommend Light of the Jedi. The 5th book I read was also Star Wars and also High Republic. It was A Test of Courage by Justina Ireland. This is the middle grade entry into the High Republic. And again, I really loved this. I actually think I liked it more than Light of the Jedi. I thought that Justina Ireland did a really good job with developing these characters and telling a very tight story that had arcs for every single character. Vernestra Rowe, who is a newly minted Jedi Knight is one of my favorites. I love her a lot. She's great, and I'm very excited she's showing up in Justina Ireland's YA novel out this summer. But yeah, if you have a kid in your life who likes Star Wars, highly recommend this as well. It has some great illustrations in it as well. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. The characters are great. This is another really good entry into Star Wars by Justina Ireland. I gave it about 4.5 stars. And yeah, I'm really excited to see her YA book and to continue the adventures of Vernestra Rwoh. The next book that I read in January was actually my favorite that I've read so far this year. It is The Four Profound Weaves by R.B. Lemberg. This is part of Lemberg's Birdverse. It's a series of short stories that are interconnected in the world, and the main deity is a bird. And this was just absolutely lovely. It's a novella by Tachyon Press, and it follows two elder trans folks. One who has been waiting for her aunt to return to teach her the next two profound weaves that make up the four profound weaves. And so those are change, wanderlust, hope, and death. And then the other main protagonist is an older man who has just transitioned, and he's trying to find his name. He is struggling with finding out trying to pinpoint exactly who he is now that he's had this change. And he's from a city where things are really stratified, where his particular community is separated between male and female genders. And so he has been, he hasn't been able to truly express himself because he was in an emotionally abusive relationship. So this book, I would say content warnings for emotional abuse, dead naming, misgendering, disability, death. But yeah, it was so lovely. So this book kicks off with the two characters trying to find the aunt, for the man so he can get his new name, and for the woman so she can learn the other two weaves. And so they make a deal to steal a carpet that the aunt had woven that was made of hope, from the ruler of this city. And it's just, I'm struggling to try and really articulate what it was, but it was just like the resistance, learning who you are and reaffirming who you are, the community that you find and that you build, and also just the hope that things can be better. So one of the themes that comes up a lot is that the dawn will come. And so that, especially coming out of the last 4 years, it felt really affirming and really hopeful. I don't know what other fiction Lemberg has coming up. I know that they recently published some piece of nonfiction about the poetry of Ursula K. Le Guin, and that they've recently been named a Le Guin scholar. So they're going to be working with the Le Guin archives at the University of Oregon. But I do plan on tracking down the other pieces of the Birdverse, and I think I'm going to buy a physical copy of it because I think this is a book that will really have additional layers upon reread. And again, it's just a lovely book. I highly recommend you read it, and I'm definitely nominating it for the Hugo Awards. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The last book I read in January was another reread. It was Rosemary and Rue by Shauna Maguire. This is the first October Day novel. And yeah, I'm reading it for a project I'm doing with KJ and Renee from Lady Business for Fangirl Happy Hour. And it was interesting rereading this because I haven't touched some of the older Toby novels in almost 9 years. I read this back in 2012. And it was interesting because I think this is a series that really, you can see Shauna Maguire's growth as an author, and how she has developed. But you can also find the seeds for later novels in here. And there's some things that happen in this book where you don't realize their significance until much later on in the series. So this is a series where it does reward you for paying attention to details and for rereading. However, it is kind of a slow start because Toby is deeply depressed in this book. So the action starts off where she is tracking a suspect in a kidnapping case, and she gets turned into a fish for 14 years. And the novel really picks up after she turns back into a changeling. And she is just, because she's missed so much and she is just so depressed. But yeah, I love this series a lot. It's one that I will read the new installment right away. But it also, I would say, really picks up after the third book, like with the third book. The first two books are fine, but they don't give you a full picture as to what the series will be. So yeah, like about 3.5 stars out of 5 for this. So that was my January in books. Like I said, it wasn't quite as many as I was hoping for, but January was kind of a weird month. But yeah, are there any books that I talked about that you've read and enjoyed? Do you have any questions about these books? Let me know, or you can just leave an emoji down below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I will talk with you later. Bye.